Shalom Aleichem. This is Mark Wickton Walter coming to you live on this 14th day of January 2020. This is Fundamentally Mormon. The guest call-in number is 917-889-8827. That's 917-889-8827. The text to this reading today has been posted on my page at facebook.com/LAZURUS, as well as many Facebook groups. I'm going to stop posting in groups that I'm not an admin in, except for one or two, because Facebook keeps on restricting my ability to post in groups for some reason. I don't know if people are reporting it because they don't like the radio program or they don't like whatever, but just my Facebook groups that I admin, that I am over, are LDS Last Days Prophecy and Gospel Discussions, and LDS Gospel Mysteries, as well as Latter-day Unity, and there's a couple of other groups, Teachings of the Prophet Joseph Smith and School of the Prophets, Lectures on Faith. So, anyway, we're going to be reading Chapter 2 of Who Crucified Christ. The chapter is titled Confusion Over the Crucifixion, and we will be on page 12. You can read this book for free online at ogdenkraut.com. Once you get on the main page of Ogden Kraut, click on Read Ogden's Books, and then you'll see all the books that he put forth. Or down at the bottom, it's in alphabetical order, Who Crucified Christ, or on page 12. Confusion over the crucifixion. Do the rulers know indeed that this is the very Christ? Howbeit we know this man whence he is, but when Christ cometh, no man knoweth whence he is. John chapter 7, verse 26 and 27. In 1963, the Ecumenical Council of the Roman Catholic Church took a vote on the question, who was responsible for the crucifixion of Christ? After some consideration, they called for a vote and substantiated the fact that it was the Jews who were responsible for his death. Then a year later, in 1964, for some peculiar reason, the subject was again brought up for a vote. This time the Ecumenical Council voted for the position that all mankind was responsible for the death of Jesus Christ. Why did the opinion of the Roman Church reverse itself in 1 year? This verifies the fact that church doctrine is often changed due to manhandling and public pressure, even on such important issues as who was responsible for the death of Jesus Christ. Little tangent here. The tribes of Israel were responsible for Jesus Christ. It wasn't only the Jews. And where do I come up with this idea? Well, when the 10 tribes of the North Country of Israel, not Judea, but Israel, were taken captive by the Assyrian army, and after the Assyrian Empire fell, a bunch of the people in the tribes of the northern country of Israel, the 10 lost tribes, they gathered together up in the area around the Black Seas. They called themselves the Sons of Isaac, and they disappeared from that place. This is also around the same time where the Saxons came from. The tribes of Israel dispersed into Europe and up into Russia and all through that area, but the Roman Empire was full of the Israelites who had lost their identity. And I believe that every representation of all of the tribes of Jacob, or Israel, Jacob, were at Christ's crucifixion. Now, I haven't received revelation on this, This is something that I've come to through study, and it's not really that important to me to argue the issue, but I believe that the Roman soldiers who were there were some of the house of Israel. Of course, it was the Jews that Jesus Christ was sent to, and they did reject him, which is crazy because, well, I guess if you look back on it, Jehovah our Elohim sent prophets before the destruction of the first temple to warn the people to try to get them to repent. They were worshiping him on the incorrect Sabbath, which I believe was a Wednesday. And he, through Jeremiah, said, if you will just worship me on the correct day, observe the correct Sabbath or Shabbat, I will turn away from all that I plan to do to you, basically. But they wouldn't. And so the Babylonian captivity came into effect, and they were all hauled off to Babylon, and the temple was destroyed. I think it was for 70 years. Until God's anointed Cyrus the Great, I think it was, until he came in and freed the Jews from Babylonian captivity, and then it was only like 10%, I think, that left Babylon and went back into Israel and began to build that temple. But my point is, Jehovah our Elohim, our Father and our God, sent prophets to the Jews before the destruction of the first temple. The second temple was destroyed in 70 A.D. The Jews think that God isn't the same yesterday, today, and forever? Like for the most part, they reject anything past a certain point. Their book ends with Malachi. But God did send two prophets. John the Baptist, or Yochanan the Immerser, came to prepare the way for Mashiach ben Judah, Messiah ben Judah. That was Jesus Christ. He was the prophet of prophets. And they rejected him. Their temple was destroyed, and they were dispersed through the nations. But I do believe that there were many in the Roman Empire that were Israelites that had lost their identity, but they were there as well. Anyway, continuing on with the reading, it has been stated that Christ's crucifixion on the cross has become the most well-known event that ever took place. So claim the best biblical scholars. Quote, cross. No word has become more universally known than this, because the history of the world since the death of Christ has been decisively shaped by the epoch-making event. The principal content of the Christian religion is symbolized in this one word. End quote. International Standard Bible Encyclopedia, Volume 1, page 825. Quote, let's see, well, no, this isn't a quote. There was no doubt that the method of crucifixion was a Roman custom, but the crucifixion of Christ had Jewish implications, such as offering Jesus a stupefying drink of wine mixed with myrrh, see Mark chapter 15, verse 23, and the removal of the body on Friday evening, see John chapter 19, verse 31, also see Deuteronomy chapter 21, verse 23. That's false doctrine. So the early Christians were persecuted by the Jews and by the Romans, to the point where they were being thrown into lions' dens. They were being made to battle each other to the death in I can't remember. They were they were being killed left and right. Eventually, Satan decided to do what he did in our dispensation. So, in the early dispensation this dispensation with the restoration of Joseph Smith. Our people were being murdered left and right. Our property was being stolen. Our homes were being destroyed, burned down, and man, women, and child that followed Joseph Smith and the restoration were all these murderers just would kill them all. If you know anything about Hans Mill or Davies County, you know what Satan used the people of the world, Babylon, to destroy the saints of God. And the same thing happened in the first century. And eventually the government came in and they basically put down some demands and caused it so that we could not live our religion, causing us to change doctrines and ordinances. And over time, the ordinances and the doctrine of the gospel has been changed, and that's part of the reason I do this show, to show the differences between the early restoration and modern, the current culture of the Mormon Church. But the same thing happened in old times. The Roman Empire hijacked early Christianity. They made it illegal to worship on the Sabbath or to observe the holy days of Jehovah. And over time, through misunderstanding of these Greek Roman Christians and these they didn't understand the Jewish nature of Jesus Christ or the high holy days or any of that. So you get this false doctrine that Jesus Christ was crucified on Friday night because they knew that Friday night was the beginning of the Jewish Sabbath, and that he was resurrected on Sunday morning, which is a lie. Jesus Christ said that he would offer no sign but the sign of Jonah, wherein he would be in the ground in the heart of the earth for 3 days and 3 nights. Friday night to Saturday night is 1 day and 1 night. Saturday night to Sunday morning is 1 night. Not even Einstein can get 3 days and 3 nights from Friday evening to Sunday morning. Constantine and the early church, which was hijacked by the Romans, changed these things. But in the scripture, we can see that he was tried on the preparation day of the high Sabbath. There are, I believe, 7 high Sabbaths throughout the Jewish year. The high Sabbath of unleavened bread, which begins the first night with Pesach, or Passover, was the high Sabbath, the preparation day being just before that day started, and the days start at sundown. So they had to get him off the cross before the beginning of the high Sabbath, which in that year was on a Wednesday, because it was the beginning of the 7-day high Shabbat of unleavened bread. The first day of that time is considered a Sabbath. The weekly Sabbath falls within that time period, and then the last day, the day of first fruits, is considered a Sabbath as well. I believe I'm getting that right. But our Messiah was taken off the cross before the beginning of Pesach, the first day of unleavened bread, on a Wednesday before sundown. He was in the tomb Wednesday night to Friday night, 1 day and 1 night. Wednesday night to Thursday night, 1 day and 1 night. Thursday night to Friday night, 1 day and 1 night. Friday night to Saturday night, 1 day and 1 night. And he was resurrected on Saturday, not Sunday. The sign he gave was the sign of Jonah, where he would be in the earth for 3 days and 3 nights. Not a day and a half. There's not 3 days and 3 nights from Friday night to Sunday morning. So when people say, like Denver Snuffer, that he, in the Grand Junction, Colorado Conference of 2019, that God showed him that our Messiah was resurrected early on Sunday morning and crucified on Friday, he's going along with a culture and he's lying to you flat out to your face. For many years, I accepted Denver's claims that he gave. I thought that there was a lot of things that he said which were very interesting. I find it interesting that we saw the Father, well, he claims to have seen Jesus Christ in 2003. That's when I saw the Father and the Son in the flesh, face to face. And I had other experiences and other things that kind of like match up with Denver. And for many years, I'd be like, well, he's kind of close on that, but he's not right. And like, I could tell he was teaching by his own logic and not by revelation. But we all make mistakes, and I let it slide. Even though I was invited to be the first speaker at a conference up in Boise, I'm trying to remember the guy's name. His name was Tony. I can't remember his name. Anyway, he was the guy who organized the conference. When Denver found out that I was going to be a speaker there, he basically said, no, I'm not going to speak unless he is disinvited. And I was promptly disinvited right before the conference started. I was all ready to go up and to give my talk on Zion's redemption, and I was disinvited because of Denver Snuffer, because he doesn't like what I have to say. And at that time, I didn't know. I think this was actually a couple of years ago. It wasn't last summer, it was the summer before that. But, you know, I was all ready to go up and do this, which causes me to travel, and that's a long ways for me to go. Boise in a car, like I know I'm a truck driver, but I can't stand being in a car for more than 100 miles. I don't know what it is. Like I can drive 600 miles in a day in a semi-truck, but to put me in a car, it's just, it's torture for me. I mean, I don't know why. It just is. Maybe it's sitting upright. Maybe it's just, I don't know what it is. Anyway, but, and you know, I was kind of upset about that. But when Denver said in the Grand Junction Conference that an angel showed him that Jesus was resurrected right at daybreak on Sunday, I knew he